Hello, I'm Jannah and I'm an artist and designer from London. I was born in Manila and moved to the UK when I was around 12ish, I think. I still find it tricky when people ask where I'm from just because it's hard to identify with just one background since I spent my childhood in Manila but then most of my life now in the UK. I still relate to my Filipino background. Um, I would say my upbringing is very Filipino. We've kept a lot of the values at home, especially when it comes to family, food, and community. But I spent just over half of my growing up so far in the UK. A lot of it in a small town in Lincolnshire. But I think being there made me feel sort of homesick for a place that I wasn't even sure I could call home, if that makes sense. So I do explore certain themes like home a lot in my art. I spent also some time not really having a physical home and would stay in other people's houses a lot, moving from one place to another. I also spent some time in Athens, not really that long, like 3 months, where I felt so at home and at peace with myself. And that's what really defined home for me, just being at peace with myself and feeling safe and secure in my own mind and body. And I would say I'm influenced by a lot of very important people in my life. It sounds very cliche, but my art is so personal to me, so any major experiences and interactions with people will almost always make a feature somehow in my work. I'd say a lot of my recent work are studies and journal entries, which are quite intimate. Right now, I'm focusing on being more expressive in my work and trying to be a bit more loose and carefree. Also, I think I want to see more places and get to know more people and just experience life to the fullest, which maybe sounds a bit pretentious, but really I just want to be more mindful and present, and I want to be able to show that through my art too. I think the biggest challenge for me as an artist is identifying as an artist, which I think a lot of people can relate to, at least to some degree. I do feel very right and myself when I'm creating, and like most artists, I've been drawing and painting since I was a child, but I do struggle with imposter syndrome quite a lot. I really am working on it. I've managed to really get out there recently and do shows and just meet more artists in general. Um, yeah, and I think I'm slowly getting more comfortable with it. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm just trying not to take myself too seriously, too, though. So, what that looks like, I'm not quite sure yet. And if I could give my younger self some advice, I'd tell her to stay curious and to keep doing the things that make her happy. I know it's probably very cliche again, but the most life-changing things I've done were things that I did out of curiosity, I think. I really wanted to stay in Athens for a while because I was curious what it would be like to live there on my own, and because of that I was able to meet so many creatives, to my first ever exhibition, and really just get to know my statement as an artist, and I think also just a person, because I was on my own quite a lot, and I was a stranger to a lot of the people there. So I was able to reflect a lot and introduce myself to new people the way that I want to introduce myself, to reintroduce myself to the people that I know now, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm really trying to enjoy life more and more again, and just to be more present. And I do love to experiment with different mediums. I think the next thing I want to do is experiment with water mixable oils. I like to mix different mediums too, mainly like watercolor and pencil. The most unusual and maybe a bit disturbing is when I was a child, when I'd get a paper cut or something, I draw with my own blood, but nothing too crazy anymore. Maybe I'll try to incorporate natural things like flower petals or, I don't know, soil. But yeah, I'm very open to trying new mediums. And what I listen to when I make art really varies. Sometimes I like to be quiet and listen to whatever's in the background, like static or the wind, but I have to admit I really get in the zone listening to old emo punk rock music. It's just the music I listened to in my teen years, but again, I think it really depends. It's very random. I still get really excited over positive reaction over my work. And I guess I would say I'm still quite new to getting people to look at my work. Having people look at my work, I think. So yeah, it's always really exciting for me. I recently did an art show and had someone tell me that my work is very intimate and personal, which is good because that's how I feel with my art anyway. They said they were going through, it felt like they were going through my diary illegally. It's very nice. I think I do tend to overshare, but with art I can do it in a more creative and subtle way, in a more maybe acceptable way, I don't know. Yeah. What I want people to take away from my artwork will probably change a lot over time, but I do love when people say they get a sense of comfort looking at my art. It feels nice to be able to provide that, since art is a really great healing and comforting tool for me, and making people safe and at home in my work means a lot to me. Thank you so much for having me. You can find more of my work on Instagram at Jannah Art, JANNAH Art, or my website www.jannah.art. That's where I'll be sharing more recent work and upcoming events.